Big salute, big salute, big salute. Yeah, quick little pre-record, man. Pre-record for y'all, man. Read this book, man. It's been on my heart. You know, when we be live, it be a bunch of distractions, you know what I'm saying? I got to try to talk to everybody. You know, I got to run my mouth. No, I got to run my mouth. But yeah, back on the Black Roots Science. Okay, the races were made in stages. The first stage took 7 generations, 200 years, of deliberate breeding. It involved starting with black people and getting dark brown children from them. The dark brown children were then encouraged to marry one another, and they produced lighter brown children. The people continued this, getting lighter and lighter children until 7 generations, the black germ was completely removed. At that point, the first light-skinned race was born. This new race was bred for another 7 generations, 200 years, until the second light race emerged from them. Then, after another 200 years, the third race, the yellow race, came out of the second race. The last race, the white race, came out of the yellow race after only 66 years. Thus, the 4 light-skinned races were complete after 666 years. 666. 6 atoms, 6 protons, 6 neutrons. That equals man, right? 666 also equals mark of the beast. Ooh. During the breeding of the first race from black people, many black children were born. Let me turn my volume up, make sure y'all can hear me. During the breeding of the first race from black people, many black children were born along with them in the same family, to the same family. In other words, many families that gave birth to dark brown children also gave birth to the ordinary black children as their siblings. Many of these black children were murdered on that island. They were killed in order to instill a light-skinned supremacy complex among the people of the island. Such a complex was absolutely essential for these people to succeed with their project. However, the instilling of the complex through necessary for however, the instilling of the complex through necessary for the success of the project did not have to be achieved through murder, but that's just how they did it. There are legends in ancient texts describing the history of this violent time. One such legend is reported in the Old Testament, where Pharaoh apparently orders all the firstborn sons of Israel to be killed. This is a garbled legend distorted by Jewish transcribers of the ancient script, who replaced the leaders of the island nation with Egyptian pharaoh. But the original legend describes much more ancient events set in the island called Pelan, and not in Egypt, and it relates to the killing of black children. Pelan is Patmos now. Patmos, the island now, used to be Pelan, is where Revelations was written. Even though many black infants perished on that island, not all were killed. Many parents succeeded in hiding their children and eventually taking them off the island. There are also legends describing how some of the children were removed. A popular legend in this story of how Moses was spirited away behind the reeds of a river hidden in a woven basket. However, Moses was not involved in this desperate adventure because he was not because he was a legendary figure by the time of the Old Testament was transcribed. The transcribers used his name to lend emphasis to the story, which actually happened some millennia before Moses was born. Many of these children and their parents and guardians who managed to escape ended up in Northeast Africa and the Middle East. They immigrated mostly to the country today called Israel and Palestine and other nearby locations, joined to Africa by a natural land bridge. This land bridge, which today has become the Suez Canal, was used in those days by people traveling between Africa and the Middle East. All the people escaping from the island were the adherents of Yahweh's religion, which he had established for them and their descendants before he died. Among the tenets of the religion was one that some priests claim had been instituted by him, which in fact was not all part of his teachings. This was the tenet of child sacrifice. Ooh. The people who made this false claim were the surgeons, midwives, and other health officials on that island. They made this adherent claim, which they falsely attributed to Yahweh, saying that all black children had to be killed in order for the lighter-skinned children to prosper. Their reasoning, which they also falsely attributed to Yahweh, was that if the black children were allowed to live, they would undermine the lighter races and destroy their chances of taking over the world. They reasoned that the black children would overwhelm the lighter-skinned children with their naturally superior intelligence and morality. These qualities were compromised in the light-skinned generations, and the lighter the generation, the more compromised they were. Now, this later fact was true, that black children could possibly overwhelm the other children and possibly delay the success of the project. But Yahweh had foreseen this possibility and taken the necessary steps to make sure it would not happen. He had left a plan with the first leaders, whereby the black children would be taken off the island and resettled in the Middle East and North Africa. After the years went by, and as the first leaders of Yahweh's generation passed away along with him, the succeeding generation of leaders, who were by now very light-skinned, hatched a plan to start killing black people right there on that island. A plan that they intended to export to the rest of the world in the coming 6,000 years. They lied and said that part of Yahweh's religion involved child sacrifice, which according to them meant to kill every newborn black child. Many people believed these leaders, especially those people that were themselves light-skinned. But the black citizens of the island rejected this false tenet of their religion. The result was that Very early on, the island community was divided into two opposing factions: black people against light skin. Black people against light skinned people. The division gave rise to the first enmity, ENMITY, on earth. It was a hostility between brothers, essentially people of the same blood, at that early stage before the first light race was born. As the new people became lighter and lighter and increased in number, the hostility grew to such an extent that the black residents decided it was best to leave the island. By the time the first light-skinned race was fully formed, all the black people that survived had already immigrated from the island and settled in the Middle East and Africa. The story of the making of the light races is reported in the Bible as the making of Adam and Eve. Ooh. The enmity, ENMITY, that arose between the original black people and that island and their light-skinned brethren is portrayed as the legend of Abel and Cain. Oh man. Abel represents black people and Cain represents non-blacks. Cain's mark is white skin, by which he would be easily recognized as soon as he left the island and ventured into the cities of the world, which at that time were occupied exclusively by black people. He was cursed so that the ground would never yield good food for him. Everything he got from the ground would be tainted and poisoned. So would the water and the air become poisonous in his hands. Oh man. He became a vagabond, VAGABOND, that left his birthplace and wandered all over the earth, as well a fugitive wanted for committing unspeakable crimes against the black nation. But Yahweh also protected him from being destroyed permanently, so he could rule the world for the allotted time. The legend of Abel and Cain portrays the first act of hostility to ever occur over the earth. Before then, the people of earth had known only peace. Only peace. As stated, the most important facet of the animosity between blacks and the light-skinned races was the religious aspect. This continues to this day, but in a form that is so totally different and unexpected that it has deceived all the nations of the world as to its true nature, let alone its true origin. The oldest strife on earth began as animosity between black inhabitants of the island of Pelon, the descendants of Yahweh and the Elohim, against the light-skinned races that were made there. Today, it continues as the hatred between the Semitic tribe of Jews against Arabs and other Semites. The history of how it came to be this way, no longer involving black people, is very long, spanning a period of 4,000 years. The events that actually led to the present state of affairs are themselves very simple and straightforward. So we are all Semites. Oh man, but really the black people are the Semites. So we can't be anti-Semitic. But they happened over such a long period of time that slow change was not seen until it had been completed. Briefly speaking, it happened in the following way. When black people left the island to avoid having their children murdered, they took their religion with them, given to them by Yahweh. They practiced the religion in their new country where they settled, in the part of the Middle East today called Israel and Palestine. As the millennia went by, after about 2,000 years since black people left the island, the light-skinned races followed them, followed them and started settling in the Middle East, including in the land of Israel. Those who settled in Israel and Palestine quickly adapted to the culture and religion of the black inhabitants, the original natives of that land. Their culture and religion was far superior to that of the races, and they couldn't help but adopt it. The ancient hatred between them was soon rekindled after many centuries. The original inhabitants of that area were outnumbered and overwhelmed by the hordes of arriving light-skinned people. Soon they were forced off their land. Some of them immigrated to Egypt, where they were given land by a benevolent Egyptian king of that time. During the time that they shared the land of Israel with the newcomers, the light races, the black inhabitants decided to hide the true practices of their religion from the hordes, who they knew would soon corrupt it. The true religion was thus made secret, and what was left for the masses was just superficial rites and practices. These were adopted by the light races as their religion, and it became the new worship of Yahweh around 2,000 years ago. The last group of black people left the land of Israel during the Roman invasion. They crossed the land bridge to join the people in Egypt who had left earlier. Soon thereafter, most of these black people, the descendants of Yahweh and Elohim, migrated south and west into Africa, where they settled among the many African tribes who had been living there for many millennia. The migration into the African continent occurred at the same time that the natives of Egypt also migrated deeper into Africa. They abandoned their great civilization after the invasion of the Semites and others, mostly Persian, Greeks, and Romans. Oh, so the Semites are Persian, Greeks, and Romans. So by this time, the religion of Yahweh had gone into such deep secrecy that it was practiced by only a few who were initiated into it. In the meantime, the superficial form of their religion had gained a large following among the Semites, who would later be known as Jews. At the earlier period of the unfolding of these events, the name Semites did not yet exist. These people were simply known as the second race from the fact that they were the second to be made, but I use the name Semite because it defines them better than any other name in modern times. That race includes all the non-black people of today: Middle East, North Africa, Pakistan, Persia, Jews, Arabs, non-black Indians, and so on. The Jews corrupted the religion of Yahweh so much that it was barely recognizable by the time of Jesus 2,000 years ago. Today, this corrupt version is being practiced in Israel and other places where Jews live, and is called Judaism. The other Semites, Arabs, Persians, etc., practice a version of Yahweh's religion that is brought much later by Muhammad. Muhammad, a black man, was visited by one of the Elohim who identified himself as Angel Gabriel or Gabriel, Gabriel or Gabriel. The word Elohim is the Hebrew plural of the word El or Eloah, which means God. There are 59,999 L's in Elohim, along with their leader, Yahweh, making a total of 60,000 in the Bible. They are called angels. The most well-known being Gabriel, meaning the god of Gobri. There is also Michael, Uriel, Raphael, Ariel, etc. They are the ones that have visited the earth more often than the rest. All of them are gods equal to Yahweh. They are not angels in the Christian sense, where Christians claim that they are created by Yahweh. They are actually Yahweh's brothers and sisters who volunteered to help him make the light races in our image 6,000 years ago. The word angel should be interpreted to mean messenger. Yahweh is their leader, and they are his messengers. The Hebrew word for Eloah in Arabic is Allah. When Gabriel or Jabril visited Muhammad 1,400 years ago, he told him that he was sent by the other Elohim and their leader, whom he called Allah, God. Muhammad and his people at that time were speaking a different language. The predecessor of modern Arabic, and no longer understood old Hebrew names such as Yahweh or Elohim. Gabriel taught him the original forgotten religion of his ancestors, the religion of Yahweh, which he then called the religion of Allah. A few years after Muhammad established the religion of Allah, it too was adopted by the Semites of that region. They soon abandoned their old religions and adopted Islam. This is how the Semites split into two main groups. The first practicing the old but corrupt religion of Yahweh that they adopted from the original black inhabitants of Israel. They still practice this religion today and call it Judaism. They consider themselves to be the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and ultimately of Yahweh and the Elohim. And we're going to stop right there. Ooh, 262, 262, 263. Yeah, we're going to stop right there. Oh, it only gets better, y'all. It only gets better. Big salute, big salute, big salute, big salute, big salute, man. I love y'all, man. Big salute to my donors, my sponsors, my shareholders, my guardian angels, my goon squad. Support goon squad. Big salute to y'all, man. Love y'all, man. Yeah. We're gonna get back to the Juicy. Tomorrow. I might come back later on with another one. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start reading on the pre-record, and I'm just gonna go live. We just gonna talk our shit, y'all. We just do it like that. Or if I come across something interesting, I'll be live more often. Try to go get something done with my head. So y'all stay tuned, man. Y'all Trapflix.com, JT Bigger Figure 415, JT Bigger Figure 415 at YouTube. Y'all go fuck with Big Bro other channel. And The Life of D, my guardian angels, man. The Lord put that on her heart to do what she did. Great content, baby. Great content. Stay on it. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Hashtag hater proof. You already know. So big salute, man. Love y'all, man.